Oh my god, guys. Guess what? I actually almost completed a TBR. What? Hey guys, welcome back. So this month I actually read some books that I was planning on reading, which is amazing. I read a total of 3.5 books this month, which I think is pretty good for me, and I'm gonna run you through them and what I thought of them. So let's begin. The first book I completed in January was The Blinding Knife by Brent Weeks. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book. We get introduced to a lot more characters in this story, which was really nice. We also followed along the stories of a lot of the other characters that were in the first series, and the story really developed a lot more in this book. Plot is building a lot in these books, and this one was no different. It just continued to develop, and some things were solved, and then more issues arose, and it was amazing. We learned a lot more about a lot of the characters, which was also great. We see some relationships sort of form and fall apart. I particularly like this book because there is a school aspect of it. I don't want to spoil anything for it, but there was a part in this book that I just thoroughly enjoyed, and it has to do with the schooling of all of the drafters and how they develop their powers, and oh, it was just great. I hated the main character a lot less in this book, and I'm also more sure of who I'm supposed to like now. I was very confused in the first book as to who I was supposed to follow along and like, but I'm a lot more clearer in this one. So excited for the rest of the series. This is becoming one of my favorite series. It's so good. You should all read it. But yeah, I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I completed in January, I read in one sitting. It is Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. Now, I started this book at 8 o'clock at night, I think it was, and I got halfway through and I was like, you need to sleep now, Michaela. You have things to do tomorrow. You should go to bed now. So I put the book down and I tried to go to sleep, and I just couldn't stop thinking about the book, and so I picked it up and finished it, and I think it was 1:45 in the morning by the time I'd finished it. It wasn't a difficult book to read. It's also not very long. Also, just gonna comment on how much I love how floppy these pages are. I love this type of book. They feel so nice to read. This book was a very typical kind of contemporary book. I was very confused and super off-put at the start because I started reading it, and this is not a spoiler, by page 4, she's kissing the main guy in the book. So I felt like I was reading fan fiction. It read very, very much like fan fiction, but once I sort of got into the world of the story, it was fine, and I just kept reading, and I flew through it. It was good. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The characters were a bit interesting. They were unique in their own way, and I think that was Colleen Hoover's way of trying to differentiate this story from every other romance book that is out there. But characters in this were a bit weird, and the setting of the book was a bit weird, and the situation was a bit weird. I was incredibly frustrated with the main character the entire time. I really didn't like her, but I enjoyed the story. I like how it sort of dealt with a lot of different mental health issues, and it sort of goes through acceptance of who you are, and acceptance of that mental health is actually an illness, and it's not just all in your head, and people need to take it more seriously, which I think was really great in this. So yeah, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I completed in January was a great one, and it was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I read this in preparation of seeing the movie, which comes out on the 30th of January, I'm pretty sure. I enjoyed this book. I was not a huge fan of the main character, especially at the first half of the book. One of my friends had a great way of explaining it, and he said that it was like teenagers on MSN, and that's sort of what the first half was like. But once I got into the story, it was really good. Ready Player One follows a boy who participates in this quest to find the hidden eggs within this competition within the virtual reality world that all of humanity seems to be partaking in, basically. Now, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I feel like it was a great idea for a book, but the execution was not quite on point. There were some parts to it that I thought could have been done a lot better, and I feel like the first half of the book wasn't really focused on the competition because the main character wasn't very focused on the competition, but I think it was a really good book, except for the fact that I was frustrated with the main character almost the entire time. It's kind of scary that this is kind of the future that we're heading towards with people who are in virtual reality worlds more than their own worlds, and like, I think it's fine. You do you. If that's what you like, you do that. But seeing it play out like this, it just makes it very real, and it kind of hits home a little bit. And yeah, it's really interesting to read, and if you're not into reading, then I definitely recommend probably going to see the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but if it's anything like the book, then it's probably going to be pretty okay. So yes. And the final book for January, I haven't actually finished. I'm in the process of reading it, and it's The Titan's Curse. I don't know if I'm going to finish this book. I am just not enjoying it. I don't know if that's because I'm not in the Percy Jackson mindset right now, and I think that's okay, but I'm going to give this another go tonight. I'm going to see if I can sit down and get into it a bit more and try to finish it, but I'm just not connecting with the characters. I'm not connecting with the story. It's just not happening for me. I'm just not a fan. But I'm gonna try. I'll give it a go, and I guess I'll update you guys at the end of next month as to whether or not I finish it, but I don't have high hopes, basically, for this series. Maybe in the future I will feel the sudden urge to read a fantasy middle grade in which I'll pick it up again, but if I don't succeed in reading this tonight, I'm probably just going to put it down and move on to next month's TBR. So there's that one. And that is, the wrong way around, that is all of the books that I have completed-ish in January. I'm pretty pleased with this amount of reading. I have a lot of high hopes for the future of books that I plan on reading in my February TBR, which will be probably one of my next videos out. But yeah, this is all the books that I read. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, you know the drill. And I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!